What does it take to activate those leaders and the founders to be the choice? What does it take to activate the employees to be the choice? What does it take to move the business in such a way that everyone sees from the outside that they're the choice for them?
Companies today are growing so slowly that it's almost stagnant. Looking at the Fortune 500, their growth in 2016 was 0.3% down. Yet, how is it that some companies are able to grow beyond what we believe to be even possible? See, these select few have found an innovative way to overcome stagnation and tap into hypergrowth.
I work with hypergrowth companies. A few of my clients made the list, and I thought, what are these other CEOs doing? What are their leaderships doing? What could I learn from these other industries that are out there? Fantastic stuff. 5,000 of the fastest growing private companies in America. And it's based on consistent growth, so it's over a 3-year period. To put this in perspective, let's look at the data. The average company is going to be in somewhere between that 5 and 40%. And I know what you're thinking, 40% over 3 years wouldn't be so bad, would it? But the people that I interviewed, the CEOs of those Inc. 5000, 51 of them, the average growth was 2,700% plus. That 3-year period showed consistency and showed leadership. I had a chance to sit down with them in these one-on-one sessions. This wasn't, all done by survey and kind of a faceless thing. A lot of it was virtual, but I talked to them about their sales and their marketing and their leadership and their culture. Really fascinating information, and it really was got me excited about what I was uncovering. There was one question in there, though, that I thought was really powerful. This one question was the real benefit of the research I did. With big growth goals, how do you get your employees motivated to take responsibility for those goals? It's a good question, right? How do you get them to take responsibility for those goals? After I talked to these leaders, it became clear. They corrected me in my thinking. It wasn't about responsibility. It was about ownership. That's one reason why I opened up with a little story about your first car and your rental car. You can see the gap between responsibility and ownership there, right? Very clear. In your workforce, do you want your employees to have responsibility, or do you want them to have ownership?
It can all be summed up in 2 words: own it. It's that ownership culture that they've cultivated and created so that their company grows faster than the competition. This means they created a culture of ownership at every level in the company. As a leader, you're naturally focused on getting your employees to take more responsibility. But hypergrowth companies have leadership that inspires ownership. The good news is you're not alone in this struggle. Companies every day are facing a sense of apathy and also rapid change. And those together, how you handle it, determines how you're able to grow in your marketplace.
Your keynote today at this event, which is an important event globally, you nailed that speech. And you were completely yourself, which is wicked. I saw the audience engaged, and so taking pictures, leaning in, it was amazing. So thank you so much, and I hope you're part of the family forever.
Blaming others is a huge problem to your success. Are you willing to step up and say, this is my fault? When you blame others, you're giving them the control that you need to have what you want. It may take you a while to understand that, but I'm planting the seed right now. When you take full ownership, 100% responsibility of your own success, you gain the power.
I feel like he gave us a more in-depth perception, something that we don't think about, something that we might be afraid of. Many of my colleagues struggle with the exact same ideas that Gene presented to us.
Does anybody care about what people think about them? We have some smiles over here. Everyone's afraid to raise their hand because they're afraid of what people might think about them. But I will tell you that when you get uncomfortable and you make that decision and you look for those areas where you have fear and resistance, you will grow as a person. Your business will grow because you made those choices. As practical and actionable as my talks are, I still know that the audience needs some reinforcement of that, and they need to be understood. And so I use a metaphor about learning to dance. Do you remember going back to middle school and you had to do that sway thing, like I'm going to show here? That moment during the speech engages the audience to think about that awkwardness or uncomfortableness to do something new that they've never done before, that's against the grain of what they've been taught. And I use that metaphor throughout the speech to show that you have to go through the awkwardness to get to the awakening. And the awakening is showing real dancing of what happens when you actually keep pushing forward and evolving. And I show this to liven things up a little bit, have a little bit of fun, but it really is something I'm excited to bring to your next speech, your next event, to engage the audience to a different level. There's a big difference between the truth and your truth. And until you're ready to receive that and do the work, you won't be able to take the actions you want to take. You won't have that inspired vision, and you won't have the ability to really make an impact the way you want to.
We continuously have those hard conversations. We listen, we get commitment, we get promises. We understand that what does it take for us to create this? We've got to get them to own it. Own the results. Own the process. That's what makes employees amazing. Another way to look at this is the entrepreneurial spirit. Now, before you guys go off on a tangent, this is not about helping your employees start their own business. It's not about helping them start that next startup. But it is about the way they think about the work. But see, most of the time, this entrepreneur spirit is what created the business in the first place. Taking the right risk, looking for opportunity, seizing the moment, being resourceful. And those are all qualities that the entrepreneurs have. Imagine you walked into work and the people in your team were innovating without being told they had to innovate. They were creating value because they knew that's what they wanted to do. And they were resourcefulness. We all have to do things with less budgets.